guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my bullet journal July setup for you, and as you can probably see already, it's different to my last monthly setup that I did for June. I'm actually doing a kind of traditional calendar layout. I have already penciled it out because I wanted to make sure that I had the right spacing and everything before I went through and went over the lines with pen. Another thing to note is that this layout is very much inspired by one that I saw on Pinterest. I will link the source down below so you can go and have a look at that. This is by no means my original creation. I just wanted to try out something new this month to see if this kind of layout works better for me. So just to make it very clear that this is not my own creation. If it works out, then I will definitely customize it a lot more in the future. Okay, so now I'm going to go over my pencil lines with black. So there's a total of 35 squares in this grid at the moment that makes up the calendar. Obviously there's 31 days in July, so only 31 of these grids will have numbers in them. Down on the left side, you can kind of see at the moment that I got the days of the week. So it's going from top to bottom rather than from side to side. So a lot of traditional calendars you see have the days of the week at the top in a horizontal fashion, but for this layout, so that it all fits on one page, it's the vertical alignment of the days of the week. So it's a little bit counterintuitive for me to be reading from top to bottom rather than left to right, as I normally do with a calendar. But it's not too difficult, obviously, because you've got the numbers in each box, so you know what you're doing. It just takes a little bit of getting used to if it's not something that you've used before, which I haven't. If you are using a medium-sized Leuchtturm, I'm not actually sure if that's how you pronounce it, Leuchtturm journal, then each square of the calendar is a 5x5 grid. So, just so that you know. And then you don't have to count it out like I did. Okay, on the opposite page, I've got 3 different trackers that I'm doing. I'm going to be tracking my social media posting for the month. So I'm starting off with ruling a line that is 20 grids long. So I've ruled the 3 horizontal lines, and then I'm going to go in with a smaller ruler because it's much easier to wield, and rule in all the vertical lines. This is a pretty time-consuming process, so you could just draw it in freehand if you want, but I don't always have the straightest line drawing skills, so I chose to use a ruler because I wanted everything to be as tidy as possible. Now I'm going in and doing the second tracker. Again, the same thing. I rule the horizontal lines first and then I do the vertical second. You can do it however you want. Now I'm starting on the second half of this page, and this is another box. This will be for tasks that I have to do throughout the month. Also, I'm sorry it's being cut off a little bit here. I do move the journal up so that you can actually see what I'm doing. The second box on this lower half of the page are for my monthly goals, and I actually made a little bit of a boo-boo. I wanted to have a 2 grid space between, but yeah, I went over on a line, so it ended up just being the 1 space, which is really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. This lower box right down the bottom is just for extra notes and things that I need to jot down. Now what I'm doing is I'm drawing little boxes in the upper left corner of each of my day boxes in the calendar. This is just going to be outlining where the number goes. I just kind of wanted it to be a little bit more highlighted, I suppose. And I'm just doing these freehand rather than with a ruler because using a ruler would take a really long time. So they're not perfect, but they do the job. Now I'm using a blue pen just to write in all of the numbers for each day of the month. I'm going to use the same pen to go over the days of each week along that left side there. Now I'm using my pencil to go in and put the name of the month, so July. I wanted to use pencil because, again, it's just a spacing thing. I can figure out the spacing, the size of the letters. It's just much easier to do it in pencil first. A lot of the time I haven't been using pencil first just to do all my titles and stuff, which is totally fine, but this is a style of writing that I haven't really done very much of before, and so it took a couple of goes for me to get it how I kind of wanted it to be before I went over it in pen. Okay, so that's the penciled in version of the header. Now I'm going to go over that with my black pen just to do the outline. As you can see, that's quite bold. Over on my trackers, I'm now doing the headers for each of those. So I'm just using a marker to write in Instagram, which I end up misspelling, unfortunately. It was a typo, really, so never mind. These things happen. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Now I'm using my black pen to go over those words with a cursive font. And of course I had to misspell this one too, just so that it matched. I'm also putting in the numbers as well in each of those trackers. So 1 through 31. I'm going to use these trackers just to fill in the days that I posted on various social media platforms, basically. I'm just using my rubber / eraser to go through and get rid of most of the pencil lines that have been drawn in. I just want to get rid of those, tidy it up a little bit. Now I'm colouring in my July header, so I'm using this light blue pen first, the same one that I used over the page for the trackers, and then I'm going over the top down the bottom with a darker colour. I did want to create more of a gradient look, but I didn't really have the right colours for that, so I ended up going over this a little bit with a white gel pen, as you can see, just to kind of help blend the two together a little bit. Now I'm just going to rule out the headers for my boxes. A little banner across here for the tasks header, one on this box for my goals, and then one down here for the notes. I decided to use some coloured pencils to colour in these banners. And so this is basically my July setup so far. I'm just writing in a couple of things in my calendar, the Fridays when I upload to YouTube. I've also got a couple of book clubs that I wanted to note down, and obviously as the month is going along I will be adding more things to this as well. Adding a few goals and tasks into the opposite page. Okay, over the page I still want to do my July review stuff. I find that quite useful, but this time I'm going to do a slightly different layout style. So up the top I have a matching header for the previous page. As you can see, I also used pencil to draw that in first. Now I'm just drawing in some different boxes. This is where each of those different review sections are going to go. So I have two half page width ones at the top basically, and then I have a full width one below that. Down below that I'm doing two more half width size boxes. And finally, right down the bottom, I have another full width box. This time I decided to use pencil to do the colouring in of the header, because I figured I'd be able to get a much better gradient using pencil instead of markers. And as you can see, it is definitely a much better gradient. So I'm just penciling in the headers for each of these boxes because I wanted to make sure things fit okay. And now I'm using a light colored blue pen or marker to put in each header. So on the top left we have accomplished, and then on the top right is popular. The first full width size box is where I write in what I've learned from the previous month. And then we have worked, so things that have worked throughout the month, and doesn't work, so obviously stuff that hasn't worked throughout the month. Down the bottom I have got to improve, so stuff that I want to work on basically for the coming month. And then again I'm going over each of those headers with the black pen in a pretty cursive lettering. The last step is to go through and get rid of all of the pencil marks, just to tidy everything up and make it look as polished as possible. And then we have the finished page. So back over we have the July monthly kind of log in a calendar form. Then I've got my social media trackers, tasks, goals, and notes for the month. I'm really enjoying this layout so far. Okay, over the page we have the July review, and again, I like how it looks, definitely, so hopefully those boxes will have been big enough for me to write things in. We'll just see, I suppose. I haven't put a July time log in this month. I may add one at some other time. So this is my July setup. I hope you like what it looks like. As I said at the beginning of the video, this is not my original idea. I found the inspiration off Pinterest. Look down below in the description box for the link to that. I will link to the original source if it's available. Otherwise I will link to the Pinterest post that I got it from. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again really soon with a new video. Bye!